Hey guys, welcome back to the Playing with Power podcast, where we talk about all things CEDH, EDH, and magic. And I am Higher, joined by my amazing co-host,
DefCat MTG. What's up, y'all? Good to see you.
So excited. Today, we're talking about the Steel City Spectacular Extravaganza, once in a lifetime 20K CEDH event that I hear was incredible. Jay, listen, you were there. In person.
Let me give you a realistic walkthrough of someone that walked there. I want to tell you just how awesome this was. You have not been to a CDH tournament like this. End of story. You haven't. We walked into this massive convention center on the bay of this river in downtown Pittsburgh. It's gorgeous. Everything was like restaurants, all walkable, really nice area. Go up this moving air-conditioned, large, carpeted area with staff to greet you. They put tags on your backpack and quiver for you with a matching tag on your wrist so no one could take your backpack from you. They checked every bag on the way in and out. It took 5 seconds. They made sure you were with all of your own stuff. And then even before you get inside the convention center, there's altar artists lining the waiting bay in. So people are stopping and shopping, getting custom mats, getting cards altered. You walk inside, boom, 14 major vendors. We've got an artist alley next to us. There's the recording center, like the coverage center to your right. And then we as staff got like our own sectioned little areas to like cool off, have our own things, have our equipment separate. We had someone in between us and like open areas to make sure only judges and people with badges got back there. Tons of open seating, on-site food that was very good. I got a very good barbecue burger a couple days. It was amazing. On top of all this, available water at every corner that they kept filled. So it wasn't like you were out buying some convention bottled water, any of that jazz. There was very clear announcements the entire time from the center, from Baldy and Ryan running it from Excalibur Events. It was by far like SCG level for a CDH convention. And it was probably a little better than most SCG cons I've been to lately.
Yeah, I was hearing that this felt like the CEDH SCG con. Like this was like the premier event. And I was at home just watching, sad. Just, it looked amazing. It looked like it was like so much fun. And all right, let's get into this. Okay, so first of all, we say it's this big CEDH event. How big was this event?
We clocked in for round one at 514 players.
Jeez. And that was just in the 20K?
That's only the 20K. That is only the main open event.
And there was a bunch of side events, and they had the invitation at the same time. So we're looking at least like 600 players playing.
Yeah, way more than that. Way more than 600. The day before, we had over 100 players just in the vintage battle for the Black Lotus. And that was cracked. That was an amazing tournament. I mean, we had a Mind Break Trap get top decked twice in a row in finals for the win, and we were freaking out on the cast. I've already seen memes of my facial expression when I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, I bet that I would be like,
oh yeah, we just went, it's back.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so massive tournament, and look at I'm always holding Kenan. It's this huge tournament. The venue space, I'm assuming, is big enough to fit everybody.
Yes,
right?
Way bigger. Yeah, we had plenty of seating. No crunched tables or elbow to elbow. None of that.
God, do you think that this type of event, because of how big it was, really sets the standard of what large events should look like going forward?
I don't know if it'll do that. I just know that it was so good that no one's really going to accept anything less. Once we think of a major tournament, this is now what we want. I don't know if it's what we'll get, but I know for a fact it's what we'll get out of Excalibur events whenever they run it. And I'm hoping there's other tournament organizers, maybe SCG steps up to the plate with stuff like this and we see more of them. Who knows?
Yeah. I think it sets that a really, really good notion that if a tournament organizer, like SCG is a good example of this.
Yeah.
Wants to create an event that the audience is there, right?
Yes.
Like this is, and this also was the first CEDH event to obviously have this many players, but to showcase that it can also compete with 60 card tournaments.
Absolutely.
And oh, that is incredible. I am just so jealous.
Yeah.
So we have the players, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about the cards they brought.
Oh,
what was the meta looking like going into Swiss?
Almost every player I interviewed that weekend that made it into top 16, which I interviewed most of the top 16 players, was, man, I didn't see much blue in Swiss. They were saying, oh yeah, there'd be one or two, maybe a blue farm and a cannon at the table held hostage trying to get the other two decks to stop jamming.
Basically. Yeah.
We only had 74 total blue farms, which really isn't a lot given 514 players. And only 4 of them made top cut. Or 4. Yeah, I think it was 4 total that made top 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure. Question. Do you think that the amount of blue farm players that were playing in the tournament was less because the players who were playing blue farm that are notably noted to play that were in the invitational?
I think a lot of players actually switched to blue farm for the invitational. I think the invitational was all about trying to make sure you don't lose versus win. But with 8 rounds of Swiss and a top point cutoff bubble of 20 points to make it into top 16 in the top or the Swiss rounds for the 20K, you didn't really want to bring a deck like blue farm to that. I think meta share wise, you just didn't want to bring a deck that wasn't jamming as hard. And although blue farm can be definitely tuned toward that, I think the invitational having taken place during the 60K or during the 20K, 60K on the one day, during the 20K.
One day.
I think we probably would have seen maybe only 20 or 30 of those players at most bring blue farm over. But I think a lot of them also would have looked at the meta and gone, maybe this isn't a Tally tournament for me. Maybe this is a Rockside tournament for me because I got to get out of the Swiss.
The Swiss rounds that I saw, was there any round that stood out to you in particular?
Yes. This is actually it's kind of funny rather than really that smart or interesting. The lunch pact round 3, everyone was like, I gotta eat. I gotta eat. And so many people took their only draw, and that is what made so many people not make it into top 16. Is they realized, I really wish I would have played that one out and not ID'd, because that was our highest draw round, was round 3. And it definitely was due to everyone wanting to go to lunch. Although there was time to, in between a lot of games, plus the food was on site. It was walkable. It was within the convention center. I think in general, so many people realized that round 3 was their pivot point, and they look back to it really disappointed because, for example, our winner of the entire tournament never got a draw. They never drew. And it was the last round 8, that got them the final win that got them into top 16.
So the drawing was, and I saw this across the board, was like a big issue, like draws in Swiss, draws in, especially in the invitational. We saw that was like a really big thing.
We had a polar opposite from them. The invitational was over 50% draw rate. We were almost at 20 for some rounds. We were very low on draws. People realized, oh my gosh, the rounds are ending and I need to get 20 points? Did I hear that right? And they're freaking out to try to get wins.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. It's so many players, right? Yeah. Also, there's not as many players that are like, I guarantee in the 20K, there is a lot of players. Maybe this is their first CEDH tournament.
Absolutely.
Right. And they're not like, I'm going to draw. There's like, I'm going to jam. I'm going to play. Every game.
They don't understand what a draw really means in terms of bubbling out at a normal tournament. And luckily that served them well, because many of the top 16 players, I think it was like 2 or 3 of them, it was their first major tournament, and they didn't think about draws. They were like, oh, that's what happens when you go to time, right? That's all they think.
Exactly. And like, so we have our Swiss, we have people going into top 16, 20 points, 19 points. I'm looking at this, with the lowest amount of points being, 16 points was our 16th place. And I would like to dive into what our top 16s look like.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were there to cover. And in our 16th place, we have Kevin playing Chatterfing.
Mm-hmm.
What a time. What a world we live in. Chatterfing taking 16th place. Did you get a chance to see this deck play?
I got it on cast twice. So I got to see the Chatterfing play twice, but both of the showings we saw of it was a mull to 4 or 5 in 4th seat. Both games that we saw it. And the first game that we saw this in, there were 2 mono green decks. There was a Selvala and a Lumra in the pod with it. And these were decks that up to this point in the day, I think this was round 2, they'd all won their first games and were in this pod to jam. But it ended up being a Yoshi Thras that took it. But I did get to interview that player later off on a sidebar. And so the Chatterfing list was built specifically to control the creature heavy meta board. And so it wasn't just I love Chatterfing and that's all I play and I don't care about the meta. Like, no. They brought tech. They brought real big tech in that deck. And they knew so many lists were going to be running Roger Thras, Yoshi Thras, a lot of Cradle decks, and they weren't going to let anything stick. And they didn't. They constantly were wiping the board with Chatterfing's ability and other spells that allow them to sacrifice their tokens, to sacrifice other people's creatures. They were keeping that board clear, and then they were jamming their wins once no one else was able to establish a proper value engine.
Very good. Very, very good. I love what Chatterfing brings to the table, the ability to be able to kill creatures on site pretty much. And then it goes like infinite with a ham sandwich. Like that's, I love that. Right. I love that you're able to do that. Awesome. In 15th place, we have Blue Farm. The deck is good. The deck is really good. It's so good that when we look at the top 16, we have 4 entries. So a quarter of the top 16 was more. We have 5 decks in the top 16. And like, it's a good deck, right?
Yeah.
It has, I'm not, and like the decks all looked pretty similar. There was some unique things where people were running old tech like Talion, or having, right, like just like trying to get more draw engines. I did see a couple decks that are running like clones for other people, Smothering Tides. That seems like a strategy that is winning.
1000% during this tournament, we valued Smothering Tithe over Ristic. We saw Ristics blown up before Smothering Tides, Smothering Tides blown up before Ristics or countered before Ristics every single time. And a majority of the Blue Farm wins that we saw were turn 1 ramp, turn 2 either Timna or Ristic, and then turn 3 either Smothering Tithe or Oppo. And that seemed to be the 5 cards that floated in between the first 3 turns was either Esper, Ristic, Oppo, Timna, or Smothering Tithe. We saw less Esper Sentinels, less Mockingbirds, less Lothos, less Orcish Bowmasters, and way more heavy on Oppo's, Timnas, and then Ristics and Smothering Tides.
Love that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it to me, it's like clear, right? As a person, especially as I've been playing a lot of Rockside recently, Blue Farm just has what you are missing, right? You get the silence effects, you get Smothering Tithe, which is a massive boon, and then on top of that, your commanders draw cards. Like I think it's doing all the things you want to be doing in Commander.
I think a lot of people don't understand why we call Blue Farm the best deck, and it's the idea that obviously, let's say you're playing something like Kennen. There are bad hands in Kennen. You know, there's just hands that don't have mana acceleration. And when you do not have that, you're not going to have a good time, you know, unless you have something very particular like a Ristic or Mystic. But there are hands where you don't find the draw engine or you don't find mana acceleration to flip. And Kennon's already really good because it can use just mana, but with Blue Farm, you don't need much mana acceleration. We're not trying to pay 7 into a Kennon. We just need Tim out, and then from there, maybe a Crom. But the idea is that the worst hand in Bloom Farm contains a bunch of mana that we just got to draw engine out of our command zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's so funny is that a lot of decks are looking to make infinite mana. Like that's like a big thing in some of these decks, but Blue Farm is just looking to make a decent amount, right?
Yeah.
I just need like 10 mana and I probably just win the game. So
yeah. And you start getting into this kind of sidebar, and this is what a lot of players had issue with going into this tournament, trying to decide what to bring because Blue Farm gives you consistency in card draw, which allows you to not lose as easy, and which is why we saw such a big representation, a third of the entries in the Invitational as Blue Farm, because it's really good at not losing. It's good at drawing versus something like Rogthras, which due to the fact that it has mana acceleration in the command zone in the form of Roger, and then an infinite mana dump in the form of Thrasios, you just have more opportunities to go for the win. In a deck like that, there's way more ways to get infinite mana and just win.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of winning, the next deck that was I like what's happening in the top 16 here. It makes sense that Blue Farm's all over the place here, but Glarb coming in here in 14th spot was just so cool. Glarb's one of my favorite commanders. It surveils too. It allows you to play cards from the top of your library. This is what I'm talking about. I like what's happening here. And, if you're going to win a major CDH tournament, this is the one to try and do it with. So I'm happy to see this here.
My favorite inclusion, by the way, we got to see this in Swiss. We were the judges and I got to walk around a little bit in between for lunch, and we saw them cast a Scheming Symmetry for Seedborn and play it off the top immediately through Glarb.
Yeah, that's hot.
Yeah, and that was something that we saw all weekend for Sultai decks. Was we saw a lot more Scheming Symmetry, and we saw a lot more Culling Ritual win lines. Which was really cool, where we would Culling Ritual, wipe the board, it would leave Glarb, and then you'd be able to cast whatever thing you tutor for the top of your library through Scheming Symmetry or Imperial Seal, which was really cool. But Wandering Archaic was doing work this weekend in this deck. I heard so many stories of the Glarb deck landing Wandering Archaic.
Yeah. And like looking at the 99 of this list, I mean, you really get a strong sense of this deck is really trying to tap on the edges here, where if we're casting Seedborn Muse, we are then just surveilling every turn. We're looking for our High Fate Trickster. We're looking for Valley Floodcaller. We're looking to win at instant speed. And you can also put like cards like Notion Thief on top of your library, and that's terrifying. That Worldly Tutor becomes so scary. Holy smokes.
I'm about to descend us to the third layer of hell. We already were pretty far down this road here. Counterbalance Necropotence when you can see the top of your library is actual hell.
Yeah.
Nothing's resolving.
Yes. Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Oh,
once you've landed that combo, which you can see the top of your library through Glarb, see if it would counter with Counterbalance, and if not, cool, I'll pay a life through Necropotence. Get to the next card. Dear God.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, so Glarb was really, really good. The next deck that we had in 13th place was Ezio Auditore da Firenze. I think that's how you say it. You can roast me in the comments. Okay, what is this deck trying to do here? This is awesome. Assassin spells you cast have free running. It has menace. Whenever it deals combat damage, you may pay Wooburg if that player has 10 or less life. When you do, that player loses the game. Like, this seems just like 5-color commander for 2 mana, right?
There's a little bit more to it. Funny enough,
tell me more.
This is, in fact, if you notice the permanents within it. If we can go down here, do you notice a permanent omitted from the enchantments? There is no Ristic because this is, in fact, a Luris deck.
Yeah. Makes all the sense. You know, this is a shout out to having the ability to know this. I wasn't able to see that.
Yeah. We weren't either on cast until we saw the Luris put down and we went, huh? Because
where did this Luris come from? Yeah,
exactly. Okay. We were like, what's going on? Main board 99. I don't see a Luris, but in fact, it was a Luris list. At least that's what we don't see it right now in this extra tournament report. Thank you.
Yeah,
but we did see it during the actual tournament. One thing that you have to note about a 5-color Luris list, because Ezio was there for one reason and one reason only. Why would you run this over, obviously, the Wandering Minstrel, and then Jensen Carthalion, which is the only other one that can be a 5-color list with Luris? Ezio can be cast with a colorless and a black. It is so much easier to get your free spells turned on, and specifically your Jeska's Will with Ezio. So if you want to run Turbo 5-color and have a Luris backup to go get your Breach, go get your Thassa's, whatever you want from your yard, Ezio is 1000% the best Turbo 5-color Luris deck.
Makes sense. Yeah, we see some cards in here that I'm seeing creep up in popularity, specifically Tataru Taru. Whenever Tataru Taru enters, you draw a card and target opponent may draw a card. Yep. And then whenever an opponent draws a card, if it isn't that player's turn, create a tap treasure token. This ability triggers only once per turn.
Yep.
It's a little baby Smothering Tithe. I love it. I love what this is doing, and I'm seeing it more and more. I'm glad to see it in this deck for sure. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The other cool include in this list was Skull Clamp, because we were noticing that this deck often is just like, you know what? I just need some card draw right now. Let's just blicky the Esper Sentinel into Oblivion and then replay it with the Luris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you have Luris, that is definitely a play. All of these cards say, just sacrifice this Ragavan, sacrifice this Esper Sentinel, sacrifice Cloud.
Yes. Ooh. Exactly. Replay Cloud, man. And Cloud gets the Skull Clamp, and then you get to replay Cloud.
Yeah, that's gross.
That was the tech there. As you play Cloud, Midgard Mercenary, they go get obviously Skull Clamp, you attach it to Cloud, draw 2 cards, and then you can replay Cloud.
Yeah. That's really cool. Bowmaster is also really good here. That's so good. Yeah, I love this tech. This tech is so good.
Yeah,
I can see why it did well.
And a shout out to the brewing on this. I love Warrior's Oath. I love that they're running Warrior's Oath in this deck. I think if you're going to be pushing 5-color and you're going to be slamming win cons, especially if you're looking for early J-Wills, which this deck absolutely was, I love Warrior's Oath and I love Last Chance on top of the Final Fortune.
Yeah. Makes sense. I'm with you on this. This seems like a really good thing to be doing. And it also gives people a different train of thought when it comes to making decks like this, in having the restriction of no permanence with a CMC 3 or 2 or greater, or 3 or greater. You can still be a very powerful deck. I love that.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if this list ever receives an assassin worth not running Luris, to where you would actually like to use the free run ability out of Ezio as a 5-color list. I don't think we're going to see anything that beats having Luris as a secondary commander effectively. But maybe one day. Maybe.
Next in our 10th place, by the way, Ezio was our 11th place. 12th and 13th place were other blue farm decks.
Yes.
10th place, we do have Keurig. Oh my God. Listen, let me tell you a story. It's 2021, going to the first CEDH MagicCon Vegas. Okay. Not CEDH MagicCon Vegas, just MagicCon Vegas. First one. Super pumped. I'm so excited because it feels like it's going to be incredible. I know it's going to be a great time. And I go and I meet all these people and I meet this guy and he's like, oh, I play Keurig. And I was like, sweet. I mean, that's a cool deck. He's like, let's play. He goes and absolutely crushes me. Like if we play 4 games, he crushed me every game. The deck is blinged out. It has altars of everything. It looks so pretty. I don't understand what a single card does because none of them are in English.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, this deck is slapping. What are we doing right now? And he's like, yeah, I actually I brewed the mid-range version of Keurig, and then it's currently on the database. My name's Cantrell. And I'm like, all right, let me see what you got going on in here. And he showed me this pile of black cards that I didn't have any clue what was going on. And I began to understand that you can play turbo black in a very different way than what I've seen in any other black deck. And one of the most notable things about this list is that it has 34 lands. 34 lands.
Whoa.
And the idea behind having 30, and one of those lands is Bizarre Baghdad. The idea here is that Keurig dies a lot. And so if you're hitting your land drops, every land drop, you're going to be able to keep recasting your commander over and over and get through all of the like counter spells and just keep landing him. There's only so many spells that counter Keurig, specifically Pact of Negation, Mindbreak, Trap, and Force of Will. And so, right, those are the most commonly played interaction pieces. So his thought is, okay, I'm going to do that. And then on top of that, I got to deal with all the creatures. Well, how do I deal with all the creatures? Well, I play cards like Pestilence, which says at the beginning of your end step, if no creatures are on the battlefield, sacrifice Pestilence, pay a black. Pestilence deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. And look at that. Keurig, when it comes to the battlefield, is a 2/2, but you cast Pestilence, and then he's now 3/3. Now you can keep board wiping everything every turn.
Yep.
Actually, absolutely. Insanity. So good.
Wipes Timnas, wipes Sentinels, wipes Rogers, obviously.
Yeah, the deck is amazing. Also, you can do really, really fun things with the creatures. Like you can, with Keurig, it allows you to pay 2 life for any black pip. And so you now, like, your Villas just says pay a black, which hurts you, draw 2, pay 2 life, draw 2 more, put a -1/-1. You can just hold priority and target the same thing over and over and over to draw, your 30 cards and be super stoked. And then you also run Shieldred, the Apocalypse, which allows you to then gain the life that you're losing. So it's some of those really interesting combos that allow you to just go off and have just the most fun.
Yeah, and then the entire deck gets to run mana cost reducers. I was a little interested to see if we were going to see the new Final Fantasy Black Medallion rather than just Jet Medallion in this list. I was a little sad we didn't because I feel like the mid-range lists want to run that a little bit more. But I know this list was leaning turbo.
Yeah, the deck, because it can go fast. Like Keurig just makes everything cost way, way less. That's why you can play cards like Final Party and Beseech the Queen, because those are just free. And then I am happy to see that he's not on Diabolic Tutor anymore. That was a card that was in the deck for quite a bit. But we have Beseech the Mirror, which is just better for Keurig. And then we also have a lot of like the instants. Almost every instant here is basically free. We're like Cut Down, Dark Ritual, Entomb, Sacrifice, Ulcerate, Vampiric Tutor, Bioblight, Grasp of Darkness are all free. These are all just free spells. And I love that. I love that the deck can do that.
Yeah, very absolutely. Good. Yeah. I think some of my favorite tech that Keurig brought to the table is the fact that it does actually have, flash enabled wins with certain enchantments, which is really cool. So Necromancy allows you may cast a spell as though it had flash, which is really awesome. And so Keurig can still play on the same axis that all the other blue decks currently are attempting to, but obviously Keurig also runs Emergent Zone and is really hot on doing that on other people's turns. And so it's not a deck that you just have to sit there watching the turn cycle and then before you get to the boogeyman, deal with them and kill Keurig or kill one of his value pieces. You can just land normal, helpful, functional parts of this deck like Mana Rocks and Braids, Orcish Bowmaster, Dothy, and sit behind it for a little bit. And then as long as you find one of your 2 flash enabled pieces, actually start jamming.
Yeah, and the deck can do instant speed, but typically it is a sorcery speed style deck. Like the lines that you run for, like you would cast Buried Alive, look for 3 creatures, them being Necrotic Ooze, and there's like a lot of different lines, but the main one is Necrotic Ooze, Asmodeus, and Scourge Familiar. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you can just you can flash in the Necromancy to grab back the Necrotic Ooze and make infinite mana with it, Asmodeus and Scourge Familiar, and then draw your deck. Ton of ways to win. And yeah, the deck's gas. I clearly am a fan of Carrick.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the meta that it made it this far.
Yeah, absolutely. A deck I don't see very much anymore, but is still a very powerful deck. Anala coming in at 9th place. Big fan of Anala. If you guys aren't familiar with Anala, it says it has eminence whenever another non-token wizard enters the battlefield under your control. If Anala Archmage Ritualist is in the command zone or on the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, create a token that's a copy of the wizard. That token gains haste, exile it at the beginning of your end step, and then you can tap 5 untap wizards you control. Target player loses 7 life. Yeah. So this deck's main idea is for you to make some mana specifically for cast Spellseeker.
Yep. As long as you have a black floating and no one interacts, once the Spellseeker resolves, you have won the game.
Yeah. With that Spellseeker allows you to search for an instant sorcery, put it into your hand. It has to cost 2 or less. You have, like I said, 4. So you have 1 black floating. You usually get like a Dark Ritual or Culling the Weak. And then from there, you pay the 1 extra black to make the copy of Spellseeker from Anala. You create another copy. You get a reanimation effect, put it to your hand, reanimate Spellseeker, do this line, and you can keep, you just circle through your whole deck. Keep going. You can keep reanimating, making infinite black mana, and then from there you usually get like Scholar of the Ages, which allows you to get 2 cards back, and then you use Finale of Promise to close it out.
Yep, that's the major win line. It's the one that most decks opt for, and the one that you would like to run. And then if you can find anything that gives you a sacrifice effect, you're able to use Bloodline Necromancer. When this creature enters, you may return target vampire or wizard creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, sacrifice the original one, then the copy that you received through the Anala Eminence trigger sees the original in the graveyard, and you're able to reanimate that one and repeat the process to make infinite, hasty Bloodline Necromancers.
Yep. Yeah. So deck's really good. I've always thought it was a good deck, but I think when Opposition Agent was created, people were a little bit more wary. Opposition Agent has since kind of fallen out of favor. And so I don't think that the fear is quite there anymore. But still very good deck. And I'm happy to see it making the list, coming in at 9th place.
One last thing I think is the Anala players are getting a little desperate, and it worked out for them, which is they started running Tidal Barracuda, which when any player may cast a spell has always had flash, but your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So it is a Grand Abolisher for you, but if you pass with that thing, woof, everyone having flash is nuts.
Yeah, everyone having flash is super not good. Just in general. But yeah, I do like that include. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are now in the top 8.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Sternberg playing Rograk Thrasios.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This deck will not go away. Oh my God. It is super powerful. If you guys aren't familiar with Rograk Thrasios, this is a Cradle deck. This deck cares so much about Gaia's Cradle, which allows you to tap it to add green mana equals the number of creatures you have. You have very cheap commanders. And a lot of times I've seen just like land, Roger, Dork into Thrasios, real easy. And then turn 2, cast Gaia's Cradle, and we're off. We're off to the races. Yep. So it's a very effective deck. It uses cards like Cloud of Fairies to great effect.
Oh my gosh!
It's so good. And typically, what you'll see in a list like this is people will cast Cloud of Fairies, which untaps 2 lands, up to 2 lands, and then they'll untap the Gaia's Cradle, they'll untap another land, and then they'll cast like Springheart Nintuku, which will be on Cloud of Fairies. It will be bestowed onto Cloud of Fairies, and then every time you play a land, you get a landfall trigger, which makes a copy of Cloud of Fairies, which is terrifying. It's like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and only 2 mana to have that effect to bestow it.
Yeah. The one of the main win lines here for this deck that just makes infinite mana is Oboro Breeze Caller can bounce a land to untap a land, and you with Thrasios you untap your Gaia's Cradle, you activate Thrasios to put a land on the battlefield, and then you bounce that land, untap using Thrasios or using Oboro Breeze Caller, untapping the Gaia's Cradle, and this allows you to make quite a bit of mana. But eventually you're looking
6 creatures, it goes infinite with Talon Gates of Madara.
Once you get Talon Gates of Madara, you then can pay the 4 to put it into play, and then you can untap, putting the Talon Gates back into your hand, make more mana, and it just goes infinite. It is a ridiculous deck. The deck is insane.
Yeah. Something I was a little interested to see in a lot of the actual Durag Thras lists is they've been stealing from Vintage a little bit. Thunder Trap Trainer. So it says Offspring 4. You may put may pay an additional 4 as you cast a spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. When this creature enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in any order. And it creates another body for 1 creature and its card selection. And that's something Vintage loves and has been playing a lot lately. And it's cool because they do want to up their creature count without actually having to play more creatures in the deck, and it does it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This also is a combo with Displacer Kitten. This is right. Is so good. It keeps being good. It doesn't stop being good. So you play the Thunder Trap Trainer, you cast a non-creature spell, you flicker it with Displacer Kitten, and then you get another non-creature permanent or non-creature spell, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. So deck is gas, man. Deck is so good. It is on Chatterstorm, which I love.
I love Chatterstorm. Love that card. I love
Chatterstorm.
Yeah, love it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. But yeah, good deck. And it, that starts our top 8, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Looking at our top, going into 7th place, we have both 7th and 5th place are again on Blue Farm. We are seeing, these decks converting, getting really close, and looking at both lists, cards that I'm seeing more and more of is cards like Delny, Streetwise Lookout, right? Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with 3 power or greater. And if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Ugh.
I do not understand why any Blue Farm list is not running Delny. Oh my lord, this card is cracked. Double Ragavan activations, double Fairy Mine triggers, double Lotho, double Bowmaster, double Sentinel. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Really, really good. The cards that specifically that always stand out to me in this situation are Ragavan, Fairy Mastermind, Lotho, Polywog Prodigy.
Yep.
Right. These are amazing cards. These are amazing cards. Even I'm obviously Esper Sentinel, but having these like major cards, also Professional Facebreaker. Geez Louise. These cards are so good. And if you have Delny out, if an ability triggers and you have like a Voice of Victory, you mobilize 2, you get double mobilized. Like it's just like you get a bunch of extra creatures if you can use those creatures to do something amazing. There's no reason to
good Timna attackers.
They're good Timna attackers, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, definitely worth it to be running Delny. Absolutely.
Something I would just love to point out, if you're not sold on this card within like CEDH in general, I would love for you to go see how many amazing creatures in this format have 2 power or less and how cracked they are. And then as a reminder, we had this card for a month with Dockside, which was insane. And the little shout out.
Yeah, we did.
There's a lot of amazing people over on eBay selling the Japanese version of this card that just came out. There was a really sick Delany promo that I'd hate for our viewers to miss out on. Definitely try to snag one of those before they like shoot up in price. They're only like $60 right now.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Blue Farm being Blue Farm. We have a really unique list coming in sixth place. We have a Halana Kessig Ranger Timna deck. And for those of you who don't know what a Halana does, is whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. When you do, that creature deals damage to its power to target creature, equal to its power to target creature as partner in reach. This is a Hulk list.
Yep.
Oh my God. Protean Hulk is one of my favorite combos. When Protean Hulk dies, you may remove it from play. Search your library for any number of creatures with total mana converted into 6 or less, and you may put them into play. Then shuffle your library. It's so good. It's so good.
This list makes me laugh so hard. I can't tell you how many people sat down against this weekend and had no idea what was going on. They did not understand what this deck was doing. You need to understand this deck's only loss was top 16.
Whoa. Yeah.
Only sorry, it has one loss in Swiss. My apologies. I was reading the record improperly. The top 16 loss that happened. They only had one loss going into top 16. That's what I was trying to say. But 5 wins in Swiss. 5 wins in Swiss.
Yeah.
The Brewers' advantage was hot.
Yeah.
Everyone went,
yeah, it really was.
Why do you need Halana for green? There's so many better options. And they're going, yeah, that's why Halana's there for the green. Totally. Yep. No other function.
Yeah.
It totally doesn't kill my Protean Hulk for me while allowing me to play a 3-color pairing. Yep.
Yeah. That's actually a really good thing to notice, right? Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. When you do, that creature deals damage to its power to target creature. So you can target itself. And this means so many things for us, right? With Protean Hulk combos, the biggest thing is getting Protean Hulk to die. That's like one of the number one things. And this, with Halana, you can just say, hey, it can just hurt itself.
Yeah,
6 damage to a 6 toughness creature. And the lines here to make that combo work for this, I'm looking at this line right now. We have Samwise, Forsaken Miner. Oh my gosh. Jeez, we have Golem. Holy moly. So yeah, this deck is super sick. And the Protean Hulk line, I think, is extra spicy because with this line, in this color palette, we can get Grand Abolisher for 2, Samwise for 2. And then from there, we can grab Cauldron Familiar, which is amazing. And then Vassia Seer to sack the Cauldron Familiar. So all of these cards together allow you. Grand Abolisher protects you, so no one can do anything right now except for activate land abilities. And then Cauldron Familiar says when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. And if you sacrifice a food, you can return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Samwise says whenever another non-token creature you control enters, create a food token, and then you can sacrifice 3 foods to return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand, which isn't really relevant here. And then you have your Vassia Seer, which is just a sack outlet, sacrifice a creature, scry 1. So you can sacrifice the Cauldron Familiar with Vassia Seer, and then you can use when it enters the battlefield, because Samwise will see it, you'll create a food token, then you can sack the food token and put it back on the battlefield, sack it with Vassia Seer, and this creates a loop that drains everybody. Super safe line with the Grand Abolisher. Holy smokes.
So what I was told, at least from people that were playing in the pod with them, one of the wins was just hey, Cavern of Souls, I'm going to name Beast. And then they played the Protean Hulk, sacked it to itself using Halana, tutored up the line, and then no one had any board interaction. All they had was counter spells, and they meant nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did nothing.
Yeah, Uncounterable Protean Hulk is, if you're casting an Uncounterable Protean Hulk, you should have the win. I feel like that is very reasonable, considering you have to pay the whole line is 9 mana. That's you deserved it, bud. You got it. You got it, bud.
And on top of that, it's still doing the unmarked grave reanimate lines as well for the Protean Hulk, and then allowing Halana to kill it from there. So it doesn't have to be mana intensive, although this deck does have no problem making a ton of mana.
So yeah, the card is on Eldritch Evolution, which allows you to get the Feast of Felrites, and I love that because then you can pay 3 life, sack it, and then you can return the Hulk, and then you can also unearth Priest. So it's another creature that you can entomb, and when you unearth it, it has haste, which I think is amazing. Deck's really good. Weather Bloom Apprentice into Chain of Smog, classic non-blue way to win. Good deck.
Yeah, fantastic.
Congratulations on making it to the top 8.
Yeah.
All right, now we get to the top 4. We have
this is where it gets real spicy. This top 4 is gonna get real spicy.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. We have Rocco rounding up our top 4. Rocco is a deck I haven't seen too much of recently. I'm really happy to see it reemerge. This deck did go real hard. It had 5 wins, 5 losses, 0 draws going into the playoffs. So I'm looking at this list, and I see a weird card.
Yeah, that
weird card is Phyrexian Dreadnought. I don't quite get it. What is it doing here?
A lot of decks traditionally were using this as a way, for example, a Selvala list wants something with a lot of power, right? That's what we normally look at Phyrexian Dreadnought for. It's 1 mana, 12 power, and if we can somehow stifle that trigger or not care about it leaving the battlefield, it's awesome. But we actually like the trigger, unlike most decks. We are going to use its enter the battlefield trigger, where you have to sacrifice it unless you sacrifice any number of creatures with total power 12 or greater to sacrifice a key card in this list, Academy Rector. When this creature dies, you may exile it. If you do, search your library for an enchantment card and put that onto the battlefield and shuffle. And so that is our best way of going and finding food chain.
Oh my God, that is so good. That is so good. That's clever, because I would never expect to find that. And it's an ETB. You sacrifice, and you're going to sacrifice Phyrexian Dreadnought anyways, but this allows you to sacrifice, Arena Rector, Academy Rector, and allow you to get even more things. Oh, that's so cool. I'm so down.
And then a big portion of this deck, grabbing food chain so early and wanting to have it, is often a majority of turn 1 and turn 2 for Rocco is putting down Arbor Elf, Avacyn's Pilgrim, Delighted Halfling, Elvish Mystic, Esper Sentinel, getting the board set up. And then when you're ready to push for the win, you can sacrifice all that, including your own Rocco, to then replay Rocco to go get what you actually want in order to go for the win with a higher X cost, such as Felidar Guardian.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this deck is cooking, bro. This is a lot. It's on some new tech, right? It's on the Frenzied Baloth, right? It really wants to make yourself uncounterable. It's on the Jolly Balloon Man. Oh my gosh, baby Kiki Jiki. I love this. It's so good. So good. It's on cards like Arena Rector and Academy Rector. These cards by themselves are decent, but in Rocco being a toolbox that it is, I think it's actually really, really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And having a secondary or having a backup in general, but also one thing to note is Kiki Jiki and Jolly Blue Man are both able to be tutored by Imperial Recruiter.
Yeah. That's actually really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Spencer for making top 4. In third place, we have Roxai. Oh my gosh.
Dexter on Roxai, very accomplished pilot. We spoke the game before. We watched his win in top 16. They jammed through a Ristic. They watched that blue farm player throw the Ristic down, and they went, and they just jammed and got it from there. And it was gorgeous. going into top 4 for them, they were seat 2. And so the ability to jam was high. But as we're going to note, once we talk about who was our first seed here in a moment, who will be second out of the whole tournament, they played a stacks piece. They played a blind obedience to stop Rogside from jamming. And in fact, it was revealed they had the Nas in hand. It was going to be a turn 2 Nas from Rogside. So in general, Dexter spoke to us about how all weekend he would jam on turn 2 or turn 3, but it was a different angle. If it was turn 2, it was Nas. If it was turn 3, it was Necro. Because you play the Necro turn 2 and you go, hey, I'm being responsible. Don't look, it's okay. And you just rip enough cards to fill your hand. And the game state moves on. You go to your next turn, you're like, cool, 30. And you just you just rip. And you already have the cards in hand. What are they going to do about it?
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
The counter magic's there.
The counter magic. Hey, listen, we do this. This is how we do it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that that's how you play this. Super excited to see. This is just Turbo Rogside in its truest form. And I'm seeing this more and more. Like Demonic Council has been a card that I've seen.
So this card actually replaced a card called it's the tutor that works if you're hellbent. Infernal Tutor. So I personally in my list run both of these cards. I think they're great. Hellbent, it says if you have no cards in hand, instead search your library for any card, and it just turns into Demonic Tutor. Versus this one's is Delirium. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead search your library for any card, put it into your hand. I have a hard time getting Demonic Council to work when I have Necropotence in my lists, and so I run it less than I do Diabolic Intent, Infernal Tutor. But I think it was a card that won them one of their games. It worked out for them, and if you play correctly into the card, it's amazing.
Yeah, I like this. I like what's happening here. I think that, obviously they're on wheels, which is interesting. But in this deck, you don't have, and this is the biggest difference between Roxai and Blue Farm is that you don't have card draw in the command zone. So your card draw needs to be heavy in the 99. This deck seems to be doing that wonderfully. So love that. Love what's happening here.
Absolutely. And to note, I just think a lot of us who are having an issue with the Blue Farm meta or having an issue with the, giant air quotes draw meta, which realistically looking at the Invitational was the meta. It was a draw meta. A majority of games went to draws in the Invitational. That is, we can actually verbatim say by statistical analysis that it was a meta to draw. And when you have more rounds, you don't get that. And that's the type of Magic I like watching. And that's the type of Magic I liked casting. We only casted 2 draws the whole tournament, and one went to time, and one was a genuine king make scenario where 2 players represented a win, and 1 player had a pact of negation, and that just happens. That's just a multiplayer Magic format right there. Yeah. No IDs in the coverage at all. No one ever went, this is too much. Let's draw, because you need these wins. And that's why I love that we're finally getting 8+ round events.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at the top 16 here, there is only our top 4. There's only 1 player who took draws, right? Every other player played their games unless they probably went to time. Like with Dexter, they have 1 draw, but it's evident here. Like people were confident. They played to win. And I love that. I love that a lot.
Absolutely. I am so excited to get into who is second.
Okay. Our second place deserves a couple of things. One, 5 wins, 1 loss, 4 draws on Lotho Corrupt Sheriff. Okay.
Yeah.
What is Lotho doing up here with these amount of wins? What was happening? Did you get a chance to cast any of their games?
So I got to cast, obviously the finals pod with them in it. And then the pod we were going to get with them ended up drawing, and that was the only draw they had for lunch. It was a lunch pact, as we call it. Everyone went, I need to eat. We did get to walk over in between games and watch the Lotho play. And when I tell you this was a master class, that if anyone out there, guys, I'm about to speak to a very large, well, I don't know, large group of you, but a group of you that's been hurting for a while in CEDH, you Stacks players. I know you miss it. It's calling you like that Coke in the fridge at midnight. Look, if you want to play Stacks effectively right now, this is the deck. So many times this Lotho deck went, hey guys, I think we want one more turn out of this game. Let me blind obedience. Let me go beseech the mirror for Draina and Linvala. Let me go flash in this Aven Interrupter and go ahead and take out that Ristic from dropping. Let's leave this opposition agent on the table for a turn or two. So many times the Lotho would extend the game by one more turn, and every turn they would just go, you know what? I'm just gonna let this one more piece stall us out just that little longer. And then because of that, they've got like 12 treasures, 13 treasures going into their next turn, and they just jam like 4 win attempts on the stack. Like they're like, cool, unmarked grave, final parting, cool, reanimate, entomb, diabolic intent, like you name it. They were just slamming reanimation win attempts.
Yeah.
For them, they were just like, I don't care if you counter it. I've got 4 more in the bank and plenty of mana.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Looking at this list, there are some cards in here that I've never seen in any list. And the cards just make so much sense for Lotho. Cards like Dispatch, for a white tap target creature, if there's Metalcraft, if you control 3 or more artifacts, exile that creature. So it's another Swords to Plowshares with no upside or downside pretty much because you're on Lotho. Yeah. I really like Apple of Eden here. The ability to exile your opponent's hand. Blue player, blue farm. Sorry, you don't get a hand, but and then you just jam. This is so cool. Ripples of the of Undeath at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. Mill 3 cards, and you may pay 1 and 3 life if you do put a card from among those cards into your hand. So
Black Sylvan Library.
Really unique card draw. Exactly. Black Sylvan Library. There's just like really unique cards here that I think are very, very good. Trouble in Pairs, I think, is a great underused card. Famari Vault. I play this a lot in Standard. Really good card, right? There's a lot of good cards here that I think make sense. The pilot clearly has had a lot of experience with Lotho because I've never seen Lotho perform so good in a tournament before.
Yes.
And so very, 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 very excited to see maybe this is like the future of this color pile, right? I don't know, but it seems like it might be the way.
I just really think that like if anyone wants to play Stacks right now, this is really the only list out there that's really doing it successfully outside of some hate bearers lists. And it's the way to go for it. But on top of all that, this Lotho player just knew how to prey on the meta of Blue Farm. They knew how to prey on the Rogthrast meta. And when you have a tournament with this many rounds, you get to watch the specialized pilots rise to the top. And that's exactly what we saw.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, very, very good, man. I think that there is a lot to be said about piloting in a format like this. And I think they just did it better. They just did it better. Very, very good. Now, I would love to see a repeat performance and see how it goes because now that everyone sees it, can you get through people knowing what your deck does?
Yeah,
and that
is the curse.
Okay, let's go to our final deck for the top 16, top 4, where we've made it to the finals. We have Robert playing Atali. Wow, Atali taking the whole 20K.
Chunky State takes the Steel City.
Yeah, man. Damn. That is
I got
amazing.
A lot to say, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
First, I understand what Atali does. It is so good at jamming Atali turn 2. So good. I've seen like a rare turn 1 Atali, but turn 2 Atali into a good pod, meaning that the card quality is really, really high. We're in the top 4, right? Every card that you see from them is probably going to be a decent card. Any non-land, and you can't get land. So all their non-land cards are gas. Right, it's really good. Like I can imagine getting like a Durana and Linvala, and then also getting an extra turn spell, getting a copy spell. Any of these type of effects just make you so happy. So I'm excited. What did you see from this deck? What was your impressions?
Well, like you just said, to note, Atali only gets better the higher you climb. Like the higher pod you're in, the better this card gets. So Robert R won through a specific line that I'd love to cover. So in seat 1, the Lotho player dropped a blind obedience turn 2, and the Rog player that was ready to jam Adnaz on turn 2 went, well, shoot. So they tutored up a Necropotence instead, and they sacrificed their Roger to a Phyrexian Tower, and then their other land to play Necropotence, and they just ripped 10. Being conservative, thinking it's getting back to their turn. Because looking over at the Atali, they go, that probably stops the Atali from pushing and having a blind obedience out. So they let that be. Robert R on Atali went, wait a minute. Lion's Eye Diamond don't need a tap to work. Blind obedience don't mean nothing to me, baby. Lion's Eye Diamond on the battlefield, we see a breach hit the stack, and we go, oh no. Crack that LED, escape it, crack it again. Atali, baby, hits the field, and it sees an Entomb effect from Lotho.
And there's already a breach.
Already a breach. Oh. But the problem is, you know what's in breach? 2 cards. Just 2. One's the LED. So we don't want to give that up. So what do we go get? Big Brain over here goes, oh yeah, I have been keeping up with the format. I put in Electro Duplicate, which has a flashback allowing me to copy. But here's the thing. I just buried the lead. You know what the big hit was from Rocco? Treasonous Ogre off the top. Yeah. I saw the Treasonous Ogre, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This was me on cast. I went, oh, I slapped Zeb. I was freaking out. I saw the Treasonous Ogre hit. I was like, that's game. That's so it. There's no way. Yeah. And so we see the Treasonous Ogre hit. He's ripping life to play the Electro Duplicate from Graveyard. Slams another copy, allows the original to go into the command zone. Yeah. And then gets a to seal the deal, which was already sealed. We go get the defense grid from Roger, and then we go get final parting from the Lotho player, and we're able to go for the infinite copy combo with breach from there by going and getting enough mana through open the omen paths.
Oh, sure. My gosh. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. And so from there, they're able to the rest of the table understood that they're able to go grab any of their lines they would like to, especially the dual caster lines, because they already have a copy spell. And so because they got their own molten duplication. So from there, the table understood the assignment, and then they just started shaking hands. No need to present it. And we're all very happy. I think everyone was excited for the Atali player. But that just goes to show you again, if Atali is in a top 16 or top 4 pod, it's gonna hit gas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened here. Very impressive win. Very cool cards in the list. I mean, it does all the things you want it to do, right? Make a copy of Atali, find ways to cast Atali for cheap. And I love that. I also love any deck that has Emrakul in it. So that made me really happy. Oh yeah, for sure.
We were excited for that.
So shout out to our top 16 players. Super sick. This is amazing. Like I said, largest CEDH tournament ever. Amazing prize pool, great plays, great players, amazing top 4, amazing top 16. But I guess the question is, like, what does this mean for CEDH? Where do you think this goes from here?
That was the most fun viewing experience we've ever gotten of a tournament from the casting and viewing perspective. It was the most fun for any player that got to go jam. And it showed that we don't need to deal with the draw meta as long as we bring enough players in and have a large enough tournament. And I think it means we're going to see more 20Ks, 25Ks, where we have large amounts of people, 500 plus. I think the cutoff for 8 rounds is like 460 something. But the tournament organizers have already talked about this, and they're already going into this. Of course, we didn't like it having to be cut to top 16. We wanted a top 40 where the top, I think, 8 player, the top 4 is locked in, and then the other 8 spots still need to be fought over. I don't know if I'm doing the math right in my head, but you guys know what a top 40 is. And the idea being that there was a lot of players that were like, cool, I made it into prizing, but I wish I got to play more. And they were already on it. Everyone, we had no idea that many people were showing up, by the way. So I went and talked to the tournament organizers, and they were like, hey, we have to add an extra round. So this was all heads up game. They were already planning on trying to cut to a top 64 maybe. And then that went out the window when the extra round came in. But they just wanted to make sure you got home on time, and we're respecting that first. So I think it's pretty reasonable to say we can expect something different than a top 16 next time. But in general, I just got every subreddit post, every Twitter thread, every YouTube rant is always talking about, I don't like draws. I'm tired of blue farm. I'm tired of blankety blankety blank. We got it. Like God, you have no idea how happy I am right now. Like everything we've been begging for as a community is right here in front of us, and we got it. And I'm so happy. It genuinely couldn't have been better.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I agree. I think that seeing the amount of players, like the diversity in the meta was like strong enough to showcase that, like, hey, while Blue Farm is a very, very, very strong deck, there is only so much space it can occupy where people are starting to like really find their grooves, find their own versions of the deck and that they want to play. And now we're seeing these like really interesting decks. I mean, we had Rocco, Atali, Blue Farm, and Lotho. We had one blue deck at the table. And I think when Blue Farm's by themselves trying to figure out what am I going to do, oh man, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's good.
It just proves the age-old statement that Ryan really coined. CEDH is still EDH, and it definitely really showed that in this tournament.
Yeah, definitely did. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Let's redo that one time. That's going to wrap it up for us today. So excited to do a little bit of coverage. Jay, DefCat, the premier caster, thank you so much for covering and giving us like deep feedback on how the tournament was.
Yes.
We got to give some thanks though to making this podcast possible. Shout out to our sponsors at Dragon Shield. You all are amazing. If you want premier product to protect your valuable investments, Dragon Shield's the place to go. You already know I have my Dragon Shields here with me on deck all the time.
Yep. Always on the desk, baby. We're always ready.
Always ready. Stay ready. Be ready. And then also to our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you so much. You guys are a major reason why we can even do a podcast. And without your support, we would not be a channel. So thank you so much for all of that. DefCat, do you have anything you would like to talk about before we send everyone off?
If you have a deck that you believe in and you want a tournament to go play it in, be looking forward to these big tournaments coming. There's going to be more. We've set the precedent. Don't give up on your pet deck. Go jam.
Go jam. And if you need a tournament to jam in, you know what tournaments you should jam in? Mox Masters. We have Mox Masters weekly. Every Thursday starts at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST. There's 16-player single elimination tournaments. You can win $100. It's a $15 buy-in, and it's for you. So link will be in the bio, as well as our monthly Mox Master tournaments, which is a $1K, $35 entry. And you can play your Lotho, you can play your Blue Farm, or play Rocco, whatever you want to play. Yeah. Bring it in. And all details for that will be in bio. But for now, Thank you all for joining us on this podcast. That is it for me. And that's it for my buddy Def Cat. Anything else you'd like to say for the people?
Thank you guys so much for watching. We can't wait to see you on the next cast. And we know that we'll be seeing you at a tournament real soon, I bet.
Absolutely. Peace, y'all.
Bye-bye.